Hello students, I am back for one more video of Applied English, and this is video number 23 and it is on listening. Students, so far you have done a lot of listening and I know that you have got all the answers correct. This video is specially meant for strategies and hints. I am going to discuss some few strategy over here, some few hints I am going to discuss. Student, this is Saraswati Sisukunj Bagwala Borcher, and this video is based on listening, and here I am going to discuss what strategy that you need to follow in order to get all 40 answers correct. Students, I am going to write some strategy over here and then each of them we will discuss what has to be followed. Okay, I write here hints. Okay. The first one is spelling. Okay, spellings. Now students, when you do listening of applied English, do you consider that spellings are important? Yes, I do consider that spellings should be all correct. Why? Because when you don't get the correct spelling, do you think that are you going to get the correct answers of it? No, you are not going to get. Your spelling should be very accurate, very correct. Now I will like to give a tip here, that is, you get 10 minutes. You get 10 minutes, yes. When you complete your listening, you get some extra 10 minutes to transfer your answer at the last when you complete your listening. Students, now spellings are really important. If you have written E instead of A, do you think that your spelling is correct? No, your spelling is completely wrong and it is a wrong answer. When you get 10 minutes, students, what you need to do? You need to check it, and I am sure that you will not take 10 minutes to transfer your answer. Why? Because I think within 5 minutes you will complete your answers of getting to write all 40 answers, and the spare minute that you can just check your spelling. Students, what when you do applied English listening, you have a booklet. What you need to do, you can write on a paper because conversation goes on, and while listening, if you check your spelling, then you may lose the other answers. What you need to do, you can write in your mother tongue, and if you are not sure, you can write in a code word, and at the last when you get 10 minutes, you can just check it out your spelling. I would suggest that you can write in your mother tongue the answer, and at the last, if you are not sure, just check the spelling and get the correct answer. So this is the spelling strategy, spelling hints that I give here. When you have 10 minutes to transfer your answer, check your spelling. The second one we have, students, that is called grammar. Okay. Now students, do you think that grammar plays a role when you do applied English listening? Yes. How? Because grammar, as you know, there are many rules of grammar. I would like to give an example over here. I write here students. Okay. Now there is fill in the blank. As you know that before now there is always an adjective. I would like to write here clever. Okay. So clever, it is an adjective, yes, and you know that adjectives are placed before noun. What noun we have? The word student, it is noun, and there is an adjective. So sometimes you need to guess when you do listening, and there is a fill in the blank, and at the last there is a noun. It can be a preposition or an adjective. Okay. So here one more example I will write here class. Okay, and here I write in. In class, what is in? In is a preposition, always placed before noun. So when you do fill in the blanks, keep in mind at the last you have nouns. There can be an adjective or a preposition. So yes, grammar also plays a role. And sometimes you need to write S-E-S, yes, S-E-S and I-S. Where there is third person singular, keep in mind S-E-S and I-S at the end of a verb whenever you are talking about third person singular. So yes, students, this is the second strategy or hint you can say, and it is grammar. The first one is spelling, the second one is grammar. You need to focus. The third one, that is called handwriting. Okay. Why handwriting, students? Because yes, you have 40 boxes. Yes. How many? 40 boxes you have, and you need to write, all answers in 40 boxes. And it is. Do you think that it is checked by an examiner? No, it is not checked by any examiner, but it is checked by computer. So if your handwriting is very legible, very clear, so it is very easy to get your answers. Because if you have written instead of D, if you have written here L, okay, why? Because your handwriting is not that correct, and instead of D, if it is L, do you think that you are going to get answers correct? No, you are not going to get. Why? Because you need to write everything legibly and clearly. So handwriting should be very clear and write that everyone can understand. Why? Because it is completely checked by the computer, students. So you need to keep in mind my handwriting should be really good. So first one is spelling, grammar, handwriting, and the fourth one, that is use all capitals. Use all capitals. Why, students, you need to write everything in capital? As I mentioned before, that handwriting and capital. I would like to give an example over here. India. Okay, your answer is India. Okay. It is a proper noun? Yes, it is a proper noun. As you know, that proper nouns always have to be written in a capitalization. Okay, the first letter is always capital. If you have written India, are you going to get the correct answer? No. Well, your spelling is correct, but I am talking about use all capital. That means capitalization here applies. So the I should be capital because you are talking about proper noun, and as you know that proper nouns are always written in capital. Students, keep in mind this spelling, grammar, handwriting, and write all answers in capital. So these are the strategy that we have over here that you need to keep in mind. Okay. Now I will mention one more thing, that is on singular and plural. Singular and plural. This is also part of grammar, but why I have written separately, students? Singular and plural. Many students get confused whether it is students or whether it is classes, whether they are talking about many cities. So when you do listening very attentively, you come to know that okay, it is clearly mentioned as students, classes, schools, and then camps. Okay, so keep in mind this singular and plural. If it is only singular, you need to write the singular word. Okay, so if it is pen, I write pen. Okay, it is a singular, but in the listening, in the conversation, it is mentioned pens. Okay, so I write here pens. Okay, so what is the correct? Because in the listening it is pens, and you cannot write pen. Why? Okay, it is singular and plural. Every letter is counted, students. Okay, especially when you do applied English. I hope, students, you have understood all 5 strategies, 5 hints of applied English listening. Follow this. Definitely you are going to get all 40 questions correct. Okay, one is spelling, grammar, handwriting, use all capitals, and the last one, that is singular and plural. Students, after this video, I am going to give an assessment task, and it is part 1 of applied English listening. Do listening and let me know that how much you get, and I am going to send an answer key in the group and check it out that how much you get the correct answers of part 1. And the listening track that I am going to play for you is here.
Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Joanne?
Hi, you must be Rob. Nice to meet you. So, I hear you're planning to visit Australia.
Yeah, and I really wanted to talk to you because I was thinking of spending some time in Darwin, and my sister told me you're from there.
That's right.
So, tell me about it.
Well, where shall I start? Well, Darwin's in what they call the top end because it's right up at the northern end of Australia, and it's quite different from the rest of Australia in terms of cultural influences. In fact, it's nearer to Jakarta in Indonesia than it is to Sydney, so you get a very strong Asian influence there. That means we get lots of tourists. People from other parts of Australia are attracted by this sort of international cosmopolitan image. And as well as that, we've got the same laid-back atmosphere you get all over Australia, probably more so, if anything, because of the climate. But what a lot of the tourists don't realise until they get there is that the city's also got a very young population. The average age is just 29, and this makes the whole place very buzzy. Some people think that there might not be that much going on as far as art and music and dancing and so on are concerned because it's so remote. I mean, we don't really get things like theatre and opera in the same way as cities down in the south, like Sydney, for example, because of the transport expenses. But in fact, what happens is that we just do it ourselves. Lots of people play music, classical as well as pop, and there are things like artists groups and writers groups and dance classes. Everyone does something. We don't just sit and watch other people.
You said it's very international?
Yeah, they say there's over 70 different nationalities in Darwin. For instance, there's been a Chinese population there for over 100 years. We've even got a Chinese temple. It was built way back in 1887, but when a very bad storm, a cyclone in fact, hit Darwin in the 1970s, it was almost completely destroyed. The only parts of the temple that survived were part of the altars and the stone lions. But after the storm, they reconstructed it using modern materials. It's still used as a religious centre today, but it's open to tourists too, and it's definitely worth going to see it. Oh, and as far as getting around goes, you'll see places that advertise bicycles for hire, but I wouldn't recommend it. A lot of the year it's just so hot and humid. Some tourists think it'll be fine because there's not much in the way of hills and the traffic's quite light compared with some places, but believe me, you're better off with public transport. It's fine and not expensive. Or you can hire a car, but it's not really worth it.
What's the swimming like?
Well, there are some good beaches, but the trouble is that there's this nasty creature called the box jellyfish, and if it stings you, you're in bad trouble. So you have to be very careful most of the year, especially in the winter months. You can wear a lycra suit to cover your arms and legs, but I wouldn't like to risk it even so, personally. And there are the saltwater crocodiles too. I mean, I don't want to put you off. There are protected swimming areas netted off where you'll be safe from jellyfish and crocs, or there are the public swimming pools. They're fine, of course.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
So, which places would you specially recommend?
Well, one of the most popular attractions is called Aquascene. What happens is every day at high tide, hundreds of fish come in from the sea, all different sorts, including some really big deep sea fish. And some of them will even take food from your hand. It's right in the middle of town at the end of the esplanade. It's not free. I think you have to pay about $5, but it's definitely something you have to experience. Then, of course, Darwin has a great range of food. Being such a cosmopolitan place, and if you don't have lots to spend, the best place to go is to Smith Street Mall, where they have stalls selling stuff to eat. There's all sorts of different things, including Southeast Asian dishes, which I really like. You'd think there'd be plenty of fresh fish in Darwin, as it's on the coast, but in fact, because of the climate, it mostly gets frozen straight away. But you can get fresh fish in the restaurants on Cullen Bay Marina. It's a nice place to go for a special meal, and they have some good shops in that area too. What else? Well, there's the Botanic Garden. It's over 100 years old and there's lots to see. An orchid farm, rainforest, a collection of palm trees, a wetlands area. You can easily spend an afternoon there. That's at Fanny Bay, a couple of kilometres out to the north. Then, if you've got any energy left in the evening, the place to go is Mitchell Street. That's where it all happens as far as clubs and music and things are concerned. You'll bump into lots of my friends there. Talking of friends, why don't I give you some email addresses? I'm sure they wouldn't mind if you...
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2. Part 2.